some literary scholars I know have guessed it's Tagore, Ramananda Tagore, who was the poet laureate of India, won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1917. That's the year John Kennedy was born. And speaking of a peacemaker, do you realize that John Kennedy would have been 90 years of age last May 29th? It's astonishing. We grew up with that great inspiration, a great peacemaker of my time. And so I want to evoke his memory here this day as well. Tagore was a great friend of Gandhi and a nonviolent supporter of India's independence. He was the one that gave Gandhi the name Mahatma, which meant great spirit. He did not live to see India reach independence. He died in 1940. That's the year I was born, in case you're curious. And when India reached its independence in 1948, they adapted one of his poems as the words to the national anthem, and it's so today. And I'm delighted to have memorized them. I learned them in India in 1981. I was there doing a part in the film Gandhi. Some of you were old enough to remember that. Gandhi is the story of Mahatma Gandhi. It was a great success everywhere, but nowhere was it a bigger success than in my community, in Hollywood. It won the Oscar for Best Picture in 1982. Everyone in Hollywood loved Gandhi. Everyone in Hollywood wanted to be just like Gandhi. Thin, tan, and moral. Some of you are curious as to who that beautiful young woman that escorted me in here this day. And some of you recognize her. She is Melissa Fitzgerald, whom I had the pleasure of working with on the West Wing for 7 years. And she's here. Please stand up and stay standing for just a second, because Melissa is also one of my heroes. And she didn't know I was going to do this. I didn't know it. But as we were driving down, she just returned from Uganda. She was on a mission there, her second visit this year. And she founded an organization. And I said, well, please, sorry about that, write down a few things so I can write about you and tell you about the organization and give the thing. And so she did. And she said, you won't be able to read this. I will, I said. And of course I can't. And so I'm going to ask her to please just come up and just give us 30 seconds of this wonderful project. She's working for peace in Uganda. And just returned. And this project is so important to all of us. Please just give us 60 seconds. Her heroism makes me a sissy.
Thank you, Martin. That's incredibly generous. And without my glasses, I can't read it either. But luckily, I went there. I recently returned from northern Uganda, where they have been struggling with the rebel war for the past 21 years. And I went with a group of actors, writers, and directors to do a theater program with a group of teenagers who've been displaced by the rebel war, so that we can tell their stories here in the United States and around the world, so that we can mobilize people in our country and internationally to make peace a priority and to end this war. It's not a complicated, difficult, or expensive war to end. It just takes our heart and our willingness to put our attention there. So if you have any interest in doing it, please log on to our website, which is voicesofuganda.org, and hopefully we will end this war soon. Thank you.
I'm going to vamp on for a few minutes. Do you mind? Because I'm over my fear now. I see they love me. And so I'm going to have at you just for a few minutes, if you bear with me, please. I pray. Look at all my notes scattered. And I took pages from speeches I'd given long ago and forgot that I'd done it or where I'd get it. So here I am. And I'll remember this at another time and wonder how I came here. At any rate, I was a young actor in New York in the winter of 1959, and I came to this group, this very avant-garde, a very forward political peace-type theater called the Living Theater. It was founded by Julian Beck. He was the first pacifist I ever met. He was also the first vegetarian. And he looked like a vegetarian. He was tall and thin. A lovely man. He became one of my mentors. I adored him. And he hired me at the Living Theater for $5 a week. Mind you, I was worth every penny, but he realized it was a pittance, and he said, I'm going to watch my peas. And he said, well, you know, we have a friend who has a bread line nearby, a soup kitchen down on Christie Street, and you can go there anytime there in the night and get a free meal, no questions asked, no sermons given, and not have to pay a penny. I said, it sounds like my kind of joint. And so I went down to Christie and I found this joint and I became a regular guest there. Eventually I discovered the place was called the Catholic Worker, and his friend was Dorothy Day. And that began my long association with the Catholic Worker and peace and justice in a very radical form. Although I was raised Catholic, I didn't really follow very strictly the Catholic rule of thumb, shall we say. I was Catholic with a small c until 1981, and I returned to the church on a very different level after long struggle with personal problems and professional problems. And I came back to the church out of love and freedom, no longer fear or worry about where I'd spend eternity. I love Richard Rohr's, some of you are more familiar with his. He says, we don't go to heaven, we become heaven. And I think it's